Hello, my name is Morgan and I will go through the different TV factual programs for beginners. The different rules are accuracy, balance, impartiality, objectivity, subjectivity, opinion, bias, representation, access and privacy, and contract to the viewer.
Accuracy.
Accuracy. The next rule is accuracy. The term accuracy is meant by the documentary presents the facts and how accurate the facts are. For example, most documentaries that present facts use graphs to refer back to their facts to support the facts.
My first example of a documentary that conveys accuracy is Wildlife SOS, and in this case, as viewers we see the presenter presenting the facts about the bird, and what makes it seem accurate is the follow-up. I mean where we see the birds actually fly in after the presenter speaks about the baby bird calling out for his parents. This makes it accurate because we see all the facts being looked back at. Bad example. A bad example of a documentary that does not use accuracy correctly is Crime Watch, and this is because Crime Watch uses fillers to reenact what happened before. They use facts, yes, but they also use fillers which are not actually accurate. It is what they interpret as what they think actually happened that night or what happens within the incident.
Balance. Balance is another rule within factual documentaries. Okay, what is meant by balance? Balance is the viewpoint, making sure the viewpoint is balanced. So, if somebody is for a topic, they will allow another person to respond who may be against the topic. This allows both sides of the story and both views of the story. So, that is what balance is, being unbiased.
Another rule within factual documentary is balance, and a program that uses it is Place in the Sun. Place in the Sun is a program that uses balance because both of the presenters, their job is to look at different locations for the people that want to buy a property. They do not favour any country that they get given. They give balanced opinions, and they also present facts and opinions of both areas, making the overall decision as balanced as possible. This shows that the program Place in the Sun is overall a balanced documentary.
Bad example.
A bad example of a program that does not use balance correctly is Jeremy Kyle. Why? Because Jeremy Kyle, the presenter, is very biased. He automatically favours the person who actually booked to go onto the show. For example, if a female asked to appear on the show and it was her story, he would automatically favour her side of the story and wouldn't let the man speak and have his point of view put across.
Okay, an additional rule within factual programming is impartiality, and this is where there is no biased point of view or favouritism towards either side of the topic. Ofcom take this rule very seriously, and this often can be seen in documentaries that have to do with prejudice because there are many different views within that topic.
Bad example. A bad example of impartiality is the Gaza documentary. The Gaza documentary was told off by Ofcom because they were being very biased to one side of the story. The narrator of this documentary was sided with the people who died. She didn't give both opinions to the people that got killed and the people that killed those. So this overall documentary was seen to be very impartial, and Ofcom takes this very seriously.
Another example I have of a rule from the factual TV programming is objectivity and subjectivity. So, this has two different meanings. Objectivity means where a factual program looks at only the facts, so this is likely to be seen in a specific interest documentary, therefore like wildlife, it looks at the facts of different animals. So, more about giving out the opinions. So it looks at the opinions as well. So for example, it contains facts and opinions.
Objectivity. An example of objectivity is the Gadget Show, because the Gadget Show shows lots of facts, and in the video that I've given, displaying now, shows that all the facts that they tell, they always go back and refer it to statistics. Therefore, they go back to graphs or information via the website. This shows that all the facts are real and trustworthy. Subjectivity. An example of subjectivity is Top Gear, because throughout Top Gear, the presenter not only gives facts, but he also gives his opinion on the cars and so forth. For example, the video that is displaying now shows he is giving an opinion of the orange car, saying what he thinks is good about it and what he thinks is not so good about it. So overall, it's based on opinions.
So, what is your opinion on the school's foods?
I like it most days. There's a variety, there's no time.
Okay, so overall, your opinion is you don't like it. So, another example within factual TV programming of a rule is opinion. An opinion is somebody's view on something. Opinions can be seen throughout factual TV programs. For example, many journalists are very opinionated and influence the viewers to believe their opinion. For example, the example I just gave, Irfan does not like the food in the school. Therefore, if he was to say to somebody the food's nasty, he is influencing them to have the same opinion.
X Factor. X Factor is an example of opinion, because we see Talisa and Ria Ora's reaction to the group Rough Copy, and as we see their opinion influences the viewer's opinion on the band, making everybody like them as well. However, a documentary like The World's Largest Snake has nothing to do with opinion. This documentary is entirely based on the facts. The documentary states all the facts about the snake. It is not there to give opinions on the snake and to try and make the viewers have the same opinion as those who are hosting it. It is based on the facts and what is the snake. The first rule I'll be looking at is bias. The term bias is meant by having an unfair or unbalanced opinion. For example, there are many documentaries and factual programs that are biased, like a documentary on a football team like West Ham will be biased because the documentary will not have a balanced opinion. An example of a biased documentary is the Central Park 5. This documentary is not entirely biased, but however, it only gives the opinion of the 5 people that got put in prison. This shows that it's biased towards the people who actually put them in prison, for example, the police. Another documentary is Super Size Me. This documentary is not biased because the presenter shows both sides, so it shows what's good about eating a lot of food and what's not so good, so it shows why people might eat a lot of food and why they really. Representation is how somebody presents the topic. For example, a presenter of a show may present the topic negatively or positively. An example of representation is Ross Kemp on gangs. Ross Kemp is the presenter of this documentary, and it is him who influences the audience to believe his opinion on stuff. He talks about the different gangs and stuff, and the way he represents himself could reflect on the topic of the guns.
The access means the ability to communicate with others. For example, the reaction between the subject and object, like an interviewer and interviewee. The privacy part is on human rights.
Big Brother is a bad example of access and privacy, as it does not allow the contestants to have privacy, but they did sign up to a contract to not be given the privacy, so this is a competition-based show. The 9/11 documentary allows access and privacy because there are certain people who were involved in the 9/11 plane crash but did not want to speak, so they had an interview but you could only see a black outshadow of them, so this shows that the documentary allowed privacy for them.
Another rule within factual programming is contract to the viewers. This is almost like an unwritten contract. This is where the program has to tell the truth to the viewers. It almost makes them believe what they are watching, plus it puts all the other things together. So contract to the viewers This is where the program must tell the truth and be accurate throughout the whole thing.
Objectivity.